One kind act connected two worlds and started an interstellar revolution. The stranger in the stardust. The abandoned Westlake research facility loomed against the twilight sky, its broken windows like dark eyes watching Elliot Novick as he slipped through the rusted fence. This was his sanctuary, the one place where the whispers and stares of Pinewood Valley couldn't reach him. Another successful infiltration, he muttered to himself, adjusting his backpack full of salvaged tech components. At 17, Elliot had already built 3 supercomputers and a small army of drones from discarded parts, but his latest project required more specialized equipment. Moonlight filtered through the cracked skylights as he navigated familiar corridors. 3 years of exploring this place had made it more home than the empty house where he lived with his perpetually absent father. The facility had been suddenly abandoned 8 years ago. The official story involved budget cuts, but local rumors suggested government cover-ups of experiments gone wrong. Elliot had nearly filled his backpack when a sound stopped him cold, a soft, rhythmic pulsing unlike anything he'd heard before. Following the sound led him to a sealed laboratory door he'd never managed to open. Tonight, somehow, it stood ajar. "Hello," he called softly, his voice echoing. The pulsing grew louder. The laboratory beyond was pristine, untouched by the decay affecting the rest of the facility. In its center lay what appeared to be a crashed escape pod, its metallic surface etched with glowing blue symbols. Beside it, slumped against the wall, was a figure. Not human, definitely not human. Elliot's heart hammered against his ribs. The being had humanoid features, but with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with each labored breath. Silvery hair framed a face with large, almond-shaped eyes now closed in pain. A glowing blue substance seeped from a wound in its side. Every instinct told Elliot to run, call someone, the police, the military, anyone. Instead, he stepped forward. "Can you understand me?" he whispered. The being's eyes opened, brilliant violet irises focusing on him with unmistakable intelligence. She spoke, her voice melodic but incomprehensible. Elliot pointed to himself. "Elliot," then gestured to her. She understood. "Thalia." Her hand moved to her wound, then to her crashed vessel. "Help." That single word changed everything. Transporting an injured alien through town required creativity. Elliot wrapped Thalia in his oversized hoodie and used his drone to create a diversion at the opposite end of the facility when security made their hourly patrol. His electric scooter barely supported both their weights, but the late hour meant empty streets as they made their way to the converted garage behind his house that served as his workshop. "Not exactly a hospital," Elliot apologized as he cleared space on his workbench, "but it's safe." Thalia's condition worsened through the night. The blue substance, her blood, continued seeping from her wound despite Elliot's attempt at first aid. In desperation, he examined the symbols on a small device she kept clutched in her hand. The patterns reminded him of coding language, and programming was one thing Elliot understood better than people. By dawn, he had connected the alien device to his computer system and partially deciphered its interface. "A medical scanner?" he guessed, holding it above Thalia's wound as diagrams and symbols flashed across his monitor. Working through the alien technology was like solving the most complex puzzle of his life, but gradually the patterns made sense. The device wasn't just a scanner. It contained nanobots designed for tissue repair. Elliot activated the system and watched in amazement as microscopic machines deployed into Thalia's wound, sealing damaged tissue and stopping the bleeding. Thalia's eyes fluttered open. "You understand our technology." Elliot nearly fell off his chair. "You speak English." "I learned quickly. Your computer systems helped. Simple but effective." A weak smile crossed her face. "Thank you for saving me." Over the next 3 days, as Thalia recovered, Elliot learned her story. She was a diplomatic envoy from a species called the Lumina, sent to establish peaceful contact with Earth after years of observing human civilization. Her mission had been sanctioned by the United Global Council, Earth's official governmental body, but a separatist military faction called the Orion Directive had ambushed her ship. "They want war, not peace," Thalia explained, examining the circuit board Elliot was soldering. "My people possess technology they covet. The directive believes conquest is easier than cooperation." "But why would they want war with an advanced alien civilization?" Elliot asked. Power control. The leaders have convinced their followers that my kind represents an existential threat. Thalia's expression darkened. My people are few. Our home world suffered environmental collapse centuries ago. We survive on our remaining colony worlds, but our population dwindles. We sought allies, not enemies. As days passed, Elliot found himself sharing more about his own life. His mother's death 5 years ago, his father's emotional withdrawal into his corporate job, the bullying at school that led him to drop out and complete his education online. You and I are not so different, Thalia observed one evening. Both isolated, both seeking connection. Their conversation was interrupted by emergency alerts blaring from Elliot's phone and computer simultaneously. Attention all CITIZNS. Report any unusual activity or unidentified INDIVIDUALS. Potential security threat in the Pinewood Valley area. The alert included a grainy satellite image of Thalia's crashed escape pod. They're looking for me, Thalia whispered. The directive will claim jurisdiction for national security. Elliot's mind raced. We need somewhere safer, somewhere off the grid. He grabbed his phone and called the one person he still trusted. Zoe Patterson answered on the second ring. Elliot, it's been months. Remember how I helped recover your dad's research data after the university fire? I need to cash in that favor. Your family's cabin in the mountains, is it empty right now? A pause, yes, until winter, why? I need to use it. Can't explain over the phone, trust me, it's important. Another pause. The spare key is still under the blue rock by the shed. Be careful, Elliot. Zoe's family cabin lay 30 miles north, accessible only by a winding forest road. Transporting Thalia required borrowing his father's rarely used SUV and timing their departure with the shift change at the new military checkpoints established around town. The cabin was small but well-equipped, with solar panels and a satellite internet connection Zoe's father used during writing retreats. As Elliot unloaded supplies, Thalia stood transfixed by the forest surrounding them. It's beautiful, she whispered, touching a pine tree with reverence. My world once had forests like these. Their moment of peace was short-lived. That evening, while scanning communications frequencies with equipment he'd brought from his workshop, Elliot intercepted a military transmission. Asset retrieval is priority alpha. The specimen is likely being aided by a civilian. Intelligence suggests a local named Elliot Novick, age 17, reported missing by Pinewood Valley High School's automated attendance system. Subject has history of electronic trespassing and unauthorized access to restricted networks. Thalia placed a hand on Elliot's shoulder. They're coming for both of us now. Then we better find a way to stop them, Elliot replied, his fingers flying across his keyboard. If the directive wants to start a war, maybe we should start a revolution instead. As night fell over the mountains, Elliot and Thalia worked side by side, combining human ingenuity with Lumina technology. For the first time in years, Elliot felt a sense of purpose, and the strange warmth of connection with someone who truly understood what it meant to be an outsider. What they didn't realize was that their actions had already set larger forces in motion. In orbit above Earth, the remaining Lumina delegation had detected faint signals from Thalia's medical device. And in a Pentagon briefing room, General Warren Blackwood of the Orion Directive was declaring the beginning of humanity's first interstellar conflict. The countdown to war or peace had begun. Starlight Revolution. Dawn broke over the mountain cabin as Elliot rubbed his exhausted eyes. For 3 days straight, he and Thalia had worked to establish contact with the Lumina delegation in orbit, using components from his workshop combined with technology from Thalia's escape pod. It's not working, Elliot muttered, pushing away from his makeshift workstation. The signal's too weak to penetrate the directive's communication jammers. Thalia adjusted a crystalline component in their transmitter array. We need more power and a way to bypass their security protocols. Her iridescent skin had dulled from fatigue, but determination burned in her violet eyes. I know someone who might help, Elliot said, reaching for his secure tablet. But involving anyone else is risky. We have no choice, Thalia replied. Your world and mine hang in the balance. Elliot sent an encrypted message through channels only one other person would recognize. 20 minutes later, his screen flickered with an incoming video call. Well, the ghost returns. The face that appeared belonged to Ramai Ortiz, a 19-year-old hacking prodigy with a mohawk dyed electric blue. 2 months of silence, then a message using our old emergency protocol. This better be good. It's complicated, Elliot began. It always is with you, Ramai's expression softened. But you helped me when the feds were closing in last year. What do you need? Information on military communication networks, specifically the Orion Directive's encrypted channels. Ramai whistled. Starting small, aren't we? Why mess with the most secretive military faction on the planet? Elliot glanced at Thalia, who stood just outside the camera's view. Because they're trying to start a war we can't win. That's not hyperbolic enough for you. What's really going on? Elliot took a deep breath and moved the camera to include Thalia. Ramai's eyes widened. Holy is that? My name is Thalia, she said. I am a diplomatic envoy from the Lumina people. Silence stretched for 10 seconds before Ramai burst into laughter. Amazing prosthetics, almost had me. He stopped as Thalia's skin rippled with bioluminescent patterns. Oh, not prosthetics. We need your help, Elliot said simply. 3 hours later, their transmitter had been reconfigured with Ramai's remote guidance. His expertise in network security proved invaluable as they established a secure channel into the Directive's communications grid. I've got something, Ramai announced, his voice tense through the speakers. Downloading encrypted files now. His fingers flew across his keyboard. This is big, Elliot, really big. General Blackwood is scheduled to address the United Global Council tomorrow. He's presenting evidence that the Lumina have hostile intentions. That's a lie, Thalia protested. It gets worse, Ramai continued. They've been developing weapons based on technology recovered from your pod, Thalia. Weapons they plan to attribute to your people as proof of aggressive intent. Elliot's stomach dropped. They're manufacturing a casus belli. What now? Ramai asked. A justification for war, Thalia explained, her voice hollowed by grief. My mission of peace will be used to justify genocide against my people. Elliot placed his hand over hers. Not if we expose them first. Ramai cleared his throat awkwardly. About that, I've found something else. The Directive doesn't control all Earth communications. There's a backdoor into the global emergency broadcast system. With the right access codes, you could bypass their security entirely. And reach every connected device on the planet, Elliot finished, excitement building. But we need more than Earth, Thalia said. My people must also know the truth. She retrieved a small crystal from her meager belongings. This contains access protocols to the Lumina's quantum communication network. If we could integrate it with your broadcast, we could reach both worlds simultaneously, Elliot realized. Ramai's face grew serious. This is treason, you know, like actual capital offense treason. Only if we lose, Elliot replied. As night fell, their improvised transmitter hummed with energy. Ramai had secured the access codes through methods he refused to disclose, while Elliot and Thalia worked to integrate Earth and Lumina technologies into a single broadcasting system. It's done, Elliot announced finally, connecting the last component. One quantum-enhanced subspace transmitter Earth-style. He looked to Thalia. What do we say? The truth, she replied simply. Show them what we found. They crafted their message carefully. A combination of intercepted directive communications, Thalia's original peace proposal, and evidence of the sabotaged diplomatic mission. Elliot added footage from his drone of the military units converging on Pinewood Valley and the peaceful technology in Thalia's escape pod. Once we broadcast, there's no going back, he warned. The directive will know exactly where we are. Thalia nodded solemnly. Some moments define lifetimes, Elliot. I believe this is one of them. Their hands met over the transmission button. Together, they pressed it. Across Earth, screens flickered to life with their message. Smartphones, computers, television broadcasts, all interrupted by the face of a human boy and an alien girl, side by side, speaking words of warning and hope. People of Earth and citizens of the Lumina worlds, they began together. We are not enemies. The response was immediate and overwhelming. As their broadcast continued, social media erupted with reactions. News outlets scrambled to verify the unprecedented transmission. Government hotlines were flooded with calls. In orbit, the Lumina delegation received the broadcast through their quantum network, witnessing the truth of their envoy's fate and the conspiracy against peace. At the United Global Council headquarters, General Blackwood's presentation was interrupted by their broadcast appearing on every screen in the assembly hall. His face contorted with rage as his deception was exposed before world leaders and his carefully constructed narrative collapsed. "Transmission complete," Elliot announced, disconnecting their system. Through the cabin window, he spotted distant lights moving through the trees. "We've got company, military vehicles coming fast." Thalia moved to the window, her expression serene despite the danger. "No matter what happens now, we've changed things. Your people and mine have seen that cooperation is possible." The cabin door burst open as Ramai rushed in, breathless and wide-eyed. "Sorry for the dramatic entrance, but you need to see this." Outside, the mountain road filled not with military vehicles, but with dozens of civilian cars and trucks. Local people from Pinewood Valley and surrounding towns, forming a human barrier between the cabin and the approaching directive forces. Leading them was Zoe Patterson, her tall frame unmistakable as she directed people into position. When she spotted Elliot on the cabin porch, she jogged over. "Your broadcast reached us," she explained. "Dad recognized the cabin in the background. Half the town is here and more are coming." She glanced nervously at Thalia. "Is she really?" "Yes," Elliot confirmed. "This is Thalia." Zoe extended her hand in greeting. "My dad always said we weren't alone in the universe. Nice to meet you." The moment was interrupted by the distinctive sound of helicopter rotors. 3 military helicopters appeared over the ridge, spotlights sweeping the gathering below. "Attention, this is a restricted area by order of national security. Disperse immediately." The crowd stood firm. "They won't fire on civilians," Ramai said, though uncertainty tinged his voice. "At least I don't think they will." Before the situation could escalate further, a blinding light descended from above, far brighter than the military spotlights. The helicopters veered away as a Lumina vessel, sleek and otherworldly, hovered above the clearing. "The delegation," Thalia whispered, her skin pulsing with joyful light patterns. "They received our message." As they watched in awe, the standoff between military forces and civilians became background to a more significant moment. A Lumina diplomatic vessel landing on Earth soil, not in secret, but in full view of hundreds of witnesses and countless cameras. The ship's entrance irised open, revealing 3 Lumina delegates silhouetted against the interior light. They stepped onto Earth, approaching Thalia and Elliot where they stood among the human gathering. The lead delegate spoke, her voice musical yet clear. "I am Ambassador Lyra of the Lumina High Council. We have received your transmission and verified its contents." She turned to address the assembled humans. "We come in peace, as Thalia's mission intended. We seek dialogue, not conflict." Military commanders arrived, visibly conflicted as they assessed the unprecedented situation. With world attention focused on the mountain clearing through countless live streams, they had little choice but to stand down. In the days that followed, the story of Elliot and Thalia became a symbol of hope across 2 worlds. General Blackwood and key Orion directive leaders faced international tribunals for conspiracy and unauthorized military action. The United Global Council established official diplomatic relations with the Lumina, beginning with humanitarian and environmental cooperation. 1 month after their broadcast, Elliot and Thalia stood on the observation deck of the newly established Lumina Earth Cooperation Center, watching scientists and diplomats from both species working together below. "My father actually called yesterday," Elliot mentioned, still sounding surprised. "First time in years, said he was proud of me." Thalia's skin shimmered with soft blue patterns. Happiness Elliot had learned to recognize. "Your courage changed everything. One person can reshape the stars themselves if they are brave enough to try." "We did it together," Elliot corrected, tentatively reaching for her hand. "And we're just getting started." As their fingers intertwined, 5 human digits alongside 7 luminescent alien ones. The differences between them seemed small compared to what they shared. Courage, compassion, and hope for a future where differences were celebrated rather than feared. Beyond the observation window, Earth's night sky revealed a new constellation, Lumina vessels in peaceful orbit, their lights tracing patterns against the darkness. Where once there had been isolation and suspicion, now there were bridges across the void. It had begun with one act of kindness in an abandoned research facility. Now it echoed across the stars, a revolution of compassion that would define generations to come. In her native language, Thalia whispered words Elliot was just beginning to understand. "This is only the beginning." Elliot smiled, his eyes reflecting starlight. "I know.